Welcome to your deep dive.
Uh-huh.
Today we're exploring something you use all the time without even realizing it.
Okay.
American Proverbs.
Right.
We've got 50 of them
Wow.
curated by TrenderHQ,
Yeah.
and we're going to unearth the cultural insights hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these seemingly simple sayings can reveal so much about a society's values,
Exactly.
even subconsciously.
So let's dig in.
Okay.
We've grouped these proverbs into themes, and the first one is all about success and achievement.
Right. Right.
Think, the early bird gets the worm. Where
Yes.
there's a will, there's a way, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But we're not just going to skim the surface.
Right, because while these proverbs highlight ambition and hard work,
Yeah.
there's a deeper layer to unpack. For
Okay.
example, the early bird catches the worm.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's about taking initiative,
Okay.
but it also implies a limited resource.
Mhm.
Like there's only one worm and someone's going to miss out.
That's a really interesting point. It almost suggests a competitive edge to American success,
Mm-hmm.
not just individual effort.
Right.
It makes me think of the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yes.
It encourages breaking down big goals, but is that enough to guarantee reaching the destination?
Exactly. These proverbs emphasize individual action.
Right.
But what about systemic factors?
Oh,
Think about pull yourself up by your bootstraps, a classic American ideal.
right.
But what if those bootstraps don't exist?
Yeah.
Or are intentionally out of reach for some?
That's a powerful question to consider.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if these proverbs,
Mm-hmm.
while encouraging,
Right.
might also oversimplify the path to success.
Mm.
And speaking of simplification, let's move on to another theme that's all about thinking things through caution and decision-making.
Oh,
We got proverbs like, look before you leap,
yeah.
and don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Right.
What do you think?
These sayings caution against impulsiveness, which is interesting because America is often seen as a culture that embraces risk-taking.
Right.
Perhaps these proverbs serve as a counterbalance, a reminder that not all risks are worth taking.
And it's not just about avoiding risk. It's about being discerning.
Yeah.
Take all that glitters is not gold.
Yes.
In a society that often values appearances, this proverb reminds us to look beyond the surface.
Exactly.
Have you ever been fooled by something that looked promising but turned out to be a dud?
Oh, absolutely. And I think this proverb has become even more relevant in the age of social media
Right.
and carefully curated online personas.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to be critical thinkers,
Yeah.
to question what we see and hear, and not be swayed by superficial charm.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like judging a book by its cover.
Right.
We all know we shouldn't,
Yeah.
but it's so easy to do, especially when we're bombarded with images and information all the time.
Right.
But this proverb goes beyond just appearances,
Yeah.
right? It's about giving people and situations a chance, not making snap judgments.
Absolutely. It reminds us to be open-minded and to seek deeper understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Think about historical examples.
Okay.
Inventions that were initially dismissed as crazy ideas.
Yeah?
Leaders who were underestimated because of their background.
Oh, interesting.
Judging a book by its cover can lead to missed opportunities and even perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
This proverb is so powerful because it applies to so many areas of life.
Right.
It makes me wonder, have you ever been pleasantly surprised by something or someone you initially misjudged?
Oh, for sure.
Or conversely, have you ever been misled by a flashy exterior?
Oh, both, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's the thing about this proverb. It's a constant reminder to check our biases,
Right.
to be willing to be proven wrong, and to
Mhm.
appreciate the hidden depth that might exist beneath the surface.
This focus on careful observation and looking beneath the surface makes me wonder about proverbs related to how we interact with each other.
Okay.
Let's move into our next theme, interpersonal relationships. We've got classics here like actions speak louder than words. And birds of a feather flock together.
These proverbs offer insights into human behavior and the dynamics of social groups.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together is particularly interesting because it touches on the comfort and validation we find in shared values and experiences.
It definitely speaks to the idea of finding your people,
Right.
those who understand you and share your perspective.
Exactly.
But this proverb also raises questions about echo chambers and the potential for insularity.
Mm.
Could it also explain why people sometimes resist different viewpoints
Yes.
or shy away from those who challenge their beliefs?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it highlights the potential downsides of this proverb. While finding common ground is essential for building relationships,
Right.
it's also important to be open to diverse perspectives and challenge our own assumptions.
Speaking of challenges,
Okay.
let's dive deeper into a proverb that really gets people talking.
All right.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes.
It seems to encourage speaking up,
Right.
making your needs known. But there's a potential dark side to this. Is that there?
Absolutely. While assertiveness is important, this proverb could also be interpreted as rewarding those who are the loudest or most demanding.
Right.
Rather than those who genuinely deserve attention,
Yeah.
it can create a culture of complaining where the focus shifts from solving problems to simply being heard.
And it makes me wonder, in today's world of social media, where everyone has a platform to squeak,
Right.
has this proverb taken on a whole new meaning?
That's interesting.
Are we more likely to reward the loudest voices?
Yeah.
Even if they're not always the most insightful or helpful?
That's a fascinating question, and it connects to another proverb we have here.
Okay.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Okay.
Because in the online world, it's so easy to be swayed by a catchy headline or a charismatic personality without taking the time to really understand the substance behind the noise.
It's like we're constantly being bombarded with squeaky wheels online. And it takes real effort to discern which ones are worth greasing and which ones are just creating a racket.
It's definitely a challenge. And it underscores the importance of critical thinking and media literacy
Right.
in today's digital landscape.
Yeah.
We need to be able to filter the noise and discern the signal,
Yeah.
to look beyond the superficial and engage with ideas that are truly valuable.
This brings us to another proverb that's often debated.
Okay.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yes.
On the surface, it suggests that people are set in their ways and resistant to change.
Right.
But does this hold up in a world that's constantly evolving, where lifelong learning is becoming increasingly essential?
That's a great question. And I think this proverb, while perhaps reflecting a certain mindset, doesn't account for the incredible capacity for human adaptation and growth.
Right.
Neuroscience tells us about brain plasticity,
Yeah.
the ability of our brains to change and form new connections throughout our lives.
Exactly. And think about all the examples we see every day.
Yeah.
People switching careers later in life,
Right.
picking up new hobbies, mastering new technologies. It seems less about age and more about mindset,
Right.
but the willingness to embrace new experiences and challenge our own limitations.
And if we accept this proverb as absolute truth, it has some concerning implications. It suggests that personal growth has an expiration date, which is a pretty disempowering thought.
Oh, yeah.
It could also lead to ageism and limit opportunities for older individuals to contribute their talents and wisdom.
It's almost like this proverb, while perhaps intended as a simple observation, can inadvertently reinforce limiting beliefs about what's possible for people as they age.
Right.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of the messages we internalize, even from seemingly harmless sayings.
And perhaps it's time to reframe this proverb. Instead of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, maybe it's, you can't teach a dog who's convinced he already knows everything. Because ultimately it's about our openness to learning and our willingness to step outside our comfort zones, regardless of age.
I love that reframing.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus from a fixed limitation to a choice, a
Yeah.
mindset.
Exactly.
It suggests that we all have the potential to keep learning and growing throughout our lives.
Exactly. And that's a much more empowering and inspiring message, don't you think?
Absolutely. Now, this conversation about personal growth and the complexities of human interaction makes me think about those proverbs that offer a broader perspective on life. Let's dive into our next theme, the power of perspective.
This theme is all about how we see the world, with proverbs like, the grass is always greener on the other side, and one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Right.
They remind us that our viewpoint is just one of many.
It's like that saying,
Yeah.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
What one person finds appealing, another might not.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how subjective our experiences really are.
Yeah. And how often we get caught up in comparison, always looking at what others have and feeling like we're lacking.
Yeah.
The grass is always greener is such a classic example of that.
Right.
But is the grass truly greener, or is it just a matter of
I
perspective?
think it ties into the proverb,
Okay.
don't cry over spilled milk.
Right.
Both of these sayings encourage us to focus on what we can control instead of dwelling on perceived misfortunes
Yeah.
or longing for what we don't have.
Right.
We can choose to focus on solutions and move forward.
That's a great point. And it reminds me of another proverb that falls under this theme.
Okay.
A stitch in time saves nine.
Oh, yeah.
It emphasizes the importance of taking timely action.
Right.
Addressing small issues early on can prevent them from snowballing into bigger problems down the line.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I've learned that lesson the hard way a few times.
Yeah.
It applies to so many areas of life.
Right.
From fixing a leaky faucet to addressing a communication breakdown in a relationship.
Exactly. Ignoring problems doesn't make them go away. It usually just makes them worse.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that take time,
Okay.
time heals all wounds is another proverb that fits into this theme.
Mm.
But it's a bit more nuanced, don't you think?
Definitely. While time can certainly help to soften the edges of pain and grief,
Yeah.
I think it's important to acknowledge that healing is a process, and it often requires more than just the passage of time.
I agree. Sometimes we need active support, whether it's therapy, talking to loved ones, or engaging in practices that promote emotional well-being.
Right.
And some wounds, particularly those caused by trauma, may require specialized care and support to heal.
It's like Proverbs offer us these nuggets of wisdom,
Yeah,
but it's up to us to apply them thoughtfully and consider the complexities of real-life situations.
that's a really important point.
Mm.
Proverbs shouldn't be taken as absolute truths or one-size-fits-all solutions.
Right.
They're more like starting points for reflection prompts that encourage us to think critically and consider different perspectives.
This idea of practicality and navigating real-life situations makes me think about another set of proverbs that are deeply ingrained in American culture,
Okay.
those related to financial wisdom.
Right.
We've got a penny saved is the penny earned,
Mm-hmm.
money doesn't grow on trees,
Right.
and that classic warning, a fool and his money are soon parted.
These proverbs reflect a strong emphasis on financial responsibility, hard work, and the value of saving.
Mm.
They're often passed down through generations, instilling a sense of caution and prudence when it comes to money.
But it makes you wonder, how do these proverbs hold up in a society where consumerism is rampant and instant gratification is constantly at our fingertips?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Do they still resonate with younger generations who may have a different relationship with money and debt?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it highlights the need to perhaps revisit and adapt these traditional financial proverbs
Right.
to the realities of modern economic life.
Yeah.
Because while the core principles of saving and responsible spending are still relevant, the ways in which we earn, save, and invest money have evolved significantly.
Absolutely. Maybe instead of a penny saved is a penny earned.
Yeah.
It's invest wisely and watch your wealth grow. Or diversify your income streams and build a financial safety net.
I like those. It's about adapting the wisdom to fit the current landscape.
Right.
It's like the proverb, make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
The core message is about seizing opportunities, but the application can vary depending on the context.
Exactly. It's about taking the spirit of these proverbs and applying them in a way that makes sense for our lives today.
Right.
Speaking of seizing opportunities and making the most of challenging situations,
Okay.
let's move on to a theme that resonates universally: resilience and determination.
This is where we find those inspiring sayings that encourage us to persevere through tough times.
Right.
We've got, when the going gets touched, the tough get going. Every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah.
And that enduring classic, where there's a will, there's a way.
These proverbs speak to the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
Yes.
They remind us that setbacks are inevitable,
Right.
but our attitude and our determination play a huge role in how we navigate those challenges.
And sometimes the greatest growth and learning happen in those moments when we're pushed outside our comfort zones.
Right.
As the saying goes, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
Ooh, I love that one. It reframes challenges as opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
It suggests that it's not about avoiding storms, but about learning to navigate them skillfully and emerging stronger on the other side.
Exactly. And often it's in those moments of struggle that we discover our true strength and resilience.
Right.
We tap into resources we didn't even know we had. And we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we're capable of.
It's like the proverb, he who laughs last, laughs best.
Yeah.
The satisfaction of overcoming obstacles and proving doubters wrong can be incredibly rewarding.
It certainly can. And it reminds us that perseverance and a positive outlook can go a long way in achieving our goals, even when faced with setbacks.
This emphasis on resilience and the belief that we can overcome challenges makes me think about another set of proverbs that offer guidance on how to approach life's inevitable ups and downs.
Sure.
This next theme is all about navigating those inevitable ups and downs,
Right.
with proverbs like, "This too shall pass,"
Yes.
and "Don't sweat the small stuff."
These proverbs remind us that life is full of both challenges and joys, and that nothing stays the same forever.
Yeah.
This too shall pass can be incredibly comforting in times of difficulty,
Right.
reminding us that even the darkest of times will eventually give way to brighter days.
It's like acknowledging the impermanence of things, both good and bad.
Right.
It can help us avoid getting too caught up in the moment, whether it's a moment of intense joy or deep sorrow.
Exactly. And Don't Sweat the Small Stuff is all about prioritization and perspective.
Right.
It encourages us to focus our energy on what truly matters and let go of the things that are ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
It's a reminder to not let minor annoyances or setbacks derail us from our goals.
Right.
Because if we give equal weight to every little thing, we're going to be constantly stressed and overwhelmed.
Absolutely. It's about choosing our battles wisely
Yeah.
and recognizing that not everything requires our full attention and energy.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into American proverbs, what are some of the key takeaways that stand out to you?
Well, what's fascinating is that these proverbs, while rooted in American culture, contain universal truths that resonate across cultures and time periods.
Yeah.
They offer insights into human nature decision-making and the complexities of navigating the world around us.
It's like they're these little time capsules of wisdom passed down through generations,
Right.
offering guidance on how to live a meaningful and fulfilling life.
And even though they're often short and to the point,
Right.
they spark deeper reflection and can be applied to a wide range of situations. They encourage us to think critically, to consider different perspectives, and to make choices that align with our values.
And sometimes they even challenge us to question conventional wisdom and forge our own paths.
Absolutely. They're not meant to be rigid rules, but rather starting points for conversation and self-discovery.
Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a proverb that we didn't discuss today,
Okay.
but one that I think perfectly encapsulates the spirit of our deep dive.
Right.
The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing.
Ooh, that's a powerful one.
Yeah,
It speaks to the importance of humility and continuous learning.
exactly. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to discover,
Right.
and that a curious and open mind is essential for growth.
It's like an invitation to embrace the unknown, to question assumptions, and to approach life with a sense of wonder and possibility.
So there you have it, folks, a deep dive into the world of American proverbs. We encourage you to revisit the full list of 50 and see which ones resonate most with you. Perhaps choose one to focus on each day and observe how it plays out in your life. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.